Nothing works until you do. Nothing changes until you move. That's the mindset. If you want your life to change, you have to force yourself to take action. Not later, not tomorrow, now. Most people know what they need to do, but they still don't do it. Why? Because action is uncomfortable. It demands effort. It pulls you out of your comfort zone. And the mind doesn't like that. The mind wants rest, safety, and ease. But progress doesn't come from ease. It comes from doing what's hard, even when you don't feel ready. When you feel lazy, move. When you feel fear, when you feel tired, start anyway. That's how you train your brain to stop waiting and start building. If you keep choosing comfort, you'll keep getting stuck. But the moment you force yourself to take action, everything starts to shift. You feel more alive. You take control. You stop being a victim of your own delays. This video is for anyone who's done wasting time. For anyone who knows deep down that they're capable of more. If you want better, you have to do better. Not talk about it. Not plan it. Do it. Watch this now and start where you are. Because your future is waiting on one thing. Number one, act now. Because waiting never brings results in life. You know, I've watched a lot of people waste their lives. Smart people, good people. But there's one thing they all had in common. They waited. They said, I'll start next week. They said, I'm not ready yet. And eventually, that became their habit. They waited so long, they got comfortable with doing nothing. And the truth is, nothing changes until you do. You can hope, you can wish, you can plan, but until you act, your life stays the same. Now, I'm not saying action is easy. No, it's uncomfortable. It's uncertain. It takes energy. That's why so many people avoid it. But that's also why action works. Because most people don't do it. Most people sit still, talk big, and move never. You want to stand out? You want to rise above? Then act while they wait. Move while they think. Start while they hesitate. That's the difference between someone who changes their life and someone who watches it pass by. When you don't act, your mind becomes restless. You feel it. You start overthinking. You start doubting. You start creating problems that weren't even there. That's what waiting does to a person. It steals your energy. It takes your confidence. It makes your goals feel bigger than they are. But the moment you act, even a small step, you break that mental pattern. You remind yourself that you're in control. You feel alive again. People often think they need to feel good before they act. They wait for motivation, but that's not how it works. You act first. The feeling comes later. You don't wait to feel ready. You decide. You move. You start. Then your brain catches up. Your body catches up. You gain momentum. That's how results happen. That's how life changes. Action leads. Feelings follow. Some people spend their whole life learning how to prepare. They take notes. They read books. They talk about their plan. And still, they do nothing. What they don't see is that preparation without action becomes procrastination. And procrastination is dangerous. It hides behind the excuse of perfection. It tells you, I'm just planning better. But deep down, it's fear. Fear of failure. Fear of discomfort. Fear of judgment. The way out of that fear isn't thinking more, it's doing more. You need to understand how much time you lose by waiting. Every day you don't act is a day you lose strength. Because strength doesn't come from what you know, it comes from what you do. Discipline grows by doing. Confidence grows by doing. Skills grow by doing. You don't become better just because time passes. You become better because you made something happen in that time. And if you're not making something happen, you're just getting older. That's the reality. Look around you. The people who succeed in life, who really get ahead, they're not the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who take action when it's time. They don't wait for someone to remind them. They don't need perfect conditions. They just do what needs to be done. And they do it again the next day. That's what builds a future. That's what creates change. Not waiting, not talking, doing. You may feel tired. You may feel overwhelmed. But the fastest way to feel strong again is to take control. Start something. Clean something, fix something, finish something. Doesn't have to be big, just something. That one action can snap you out of a bad state. It's a reminder that you're not stuck, that you're not helpless, that you still have power. And don't get caught up thinking you need to see the whole path. You don't. You just need to take the next step. Action gives you clarity. When you move, you learn. When you learn, you adjust. That's how progress works. You don't figure everything out before you start. You figure it out by starting. People who wait for the perfect time are always behind, always frustrated, always wondering why nothing changes. Because change is never waiting for you. You have to chase it. You're gonna have bad days. You're gonna feel like quitting. That's normal. But don't let it stop you. That's the moment you force yourself. That's the test. That's where growth happens. It's easy to act when you feel good. Anyone can do that. But it's who you become when you force yourself on the hard days. That's who you really are. That's where character is built. You have to understand, action is your power, not your potential, not your plans, your action. That's what makes people respect you. That's what gives you results. People don't admire talk. They admire work. They admire discipline. They admire follow-through. You want to inspire others? Don't say anything. Show them. Let your consistency speak. Let your progress speak. Let your discipline speak. That's real influence. Stop saying you'll do it later. Later is a lie. Later turns into never. Later is the comfort zone. And the comfort zone never produces anything worth having. You want something real. You want growth. You want success. Then do it now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. Because when you act now, you take your power back. You take control. And that changes everything. You don't need perfect confidence. You don't need perfect clarity. You don't need perfect timing. What you need is courage. Courage to move while you're uncertain. Courage to try while you're afraid. Courage to keep going when it's not easy. And that kind of courage doesn't show up by itself. You build it every time you act without waiting. So here's the truth. You will never see results by watching others move. You will never change your life by thinking about change. And you will never feel strong by sitting still. You have to act. You have to move. You have to push. That's how strength grows. That's how clarity comes. That's how everything good begins. So today, right now, make a choice. Not a promise, a decision, a real one. Get up, take one step, then take another. Not because you feel like it, but because your future depends on it. Because your peace depends on it. Because your progress depends on it. And remember this, every minute you wait is a minute lost, but every action you take is a brick laid. Lay enough bricks, and you'll have something solid, something real, something you built with your own hands. Now go do it, not tomorrow. Now. Number 2, stand up and fix what needs fixing now. You already know what's broken. You've known it for a while. It's that part of your life you keep avoiding. Maybe it's your daily routine, your work ethic, your health, your finances, or the way you speak to yourself when no one's around. It's the thing that bothers you quietly at night and haunts you in the morning. Deep down, you know what needs attention, but knowing isn't enough. You need to do something. Nothing changes until you stand up physically, mentally, emotionally, and deal with it. Action isn't an option anymore. It's the requirement if you want peace. Fixing something starts with honesty. Be real with yourself about what's not working. Stop covering it up with distractions or blaming other people. That just keeps you stuck. The longer you avoid it, the bigger it grows. Problems don't disappear on their own. They grow roots. They take over your time, your focus, your confidence. So the sooner you face it, the sooner you take your power back. Don't wait for the perfect time. That doesn't exist. The time to act is the moment you realize you've waited long enough. If it hurts your progress, fix it. No more delay. When you delay fixing what's broken, you quietly allow pain to live in your life. It shows up in your mood. It steals your energy. It ruins your focus. And soon, you're not just dealing with a problem, you're dealing with the effects of avoiding it. That's why the cost of inaction is always higher than the discomfort of fixing something. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's hard, it's still better than staying stuck. Life rewards movement. Life respects those who do what needs to be done without being asked twice. It's not about doing everything in one day. It's about starting with what you can handle today. You don't fix your life by panicking. You fix it by acting calmly and clearly. Find one area, start there. Clean it up. Put order where there's disorder. Whether it's cleaning your room, getting your finances in order, or taking care of your body, start with what's in your hands. There's always something you can improve. That one change creates momentum. It reminds your mind that you're capable of more. Small improvements lead to stronger actions. One step fixes more than one thought ever could. Nobody can fix your life for you. People can support you. They can cheer for you, but they can't stand up for you. That part is yours, and it's a powerful thing because it means you're not waiting on anyone. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect answers. You just need the courage to face the thing that's slowing you down. Whether it's a bad habit, a fear, a decision you've been putting off, it's yours to face. You become stronger not by thinking about it, but by doing something about it, even if it's uncomfortable. You'll never feel completely ready, and that's okay. You don't need to feel ready to take responsibility. You just need to feel tired of being stuck. Use that frustration. Use that tension. Don't waste it by numbing it with entertainment or fake comfort. That emotion is telling you something. It's asking you to move. Listen to it. Get out of your head and into your actions. The sooner you start fixing what's broken, the lighter you'll feel. It doesn't matter how long it's been that way. Change starts the day you stop pretending you're fine with it. The hardest part is often just standing up. That first push, when you decide enough is enough. That's the moment your life shifts. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's a quiet, firm decision. It happens when you say, I can't live like this anymore. And instead of just saying it, you do something. You close the gap between knowing and doing. That moment is the start of transformation, and no one sees it but you. But in time, the world will see what that one action created. Results never lie. They show up for the people who show up for themselves. There will always be reasons to wait. There will always be something else to do. But the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to believe in your own strength. Don't give your future away to hesitation. Every day you avoid taking responsibility. You train your mind to feel powerless, and the more powerless you feel, the harder it becomes to change. Break that cycle. Choose the harder right over the easier wrong. It might not feel good at first, but it will feel real. And real progress feels better than any comfort that holds you back. Some people will never fix what's broken because they've convinced themselves it's too late. Don't let that be you. It's not too late. It's just hard. But hard is not impossible. Every person who made a serious change had to face something they didn't want to face. You are no different. You're not weak. You're not behind. You just need to move. You just need to decide that the pain of staying the same is worse than the pain of fixing. And once that decision is made, truly made, nothing can stop your growth. The truth is, the life you want is on the other side of everything you've been avoiding. There's no shortcut, no easy route, but there is it starts the second you stop sitting in your excuses and start building your results. Stand up next week. Now, fix what you know is dragging you down. It might take time, it might take effort, but every bit of progress will feed your confidence. And soon you'll look back and realize you didn't just fix a problem. You changed the way you live, and that's the whole point. Number 3. Get uncomfortable and finish what you once started. There's something you walked away from. It wasn't because it wasn't important. It wasn't because you weren't capable. You stopped because it got uncomfortable. Maybe it demanded more time than you expected. Maybe it challenged parts of you weren't ready to face. But deep down, you know it still matters. You think about it more than you admit. And every time you avoid it, you feel a small part of you slipping away. That's your signal. That's the part of your life asking you to come back and finish what you had the strength to begin. Most people never finish. They start with excitement. Then reality shows up. That's where the quit happens. But reality isn't the enemy. It's the test. Every unfinished goal becomes a weight you carry. You see it when you try something new and doubt creeps in. You feel it when you try to build confidence. But remember everything you left incomplete. That feeling doesn't go away on its own. It only disappears when you finish. The discomfort you avoid is the exact thing that will make you stronger. If you ever want to trust yourself fully, you've got to go back and close the gap. Comfort is where progress dies. It's easy to walk away when things feel heavy, but easy has never led to growth. You weren't meant to stay in comfort. You were meant to build strength by doing what's hard. That goal you left behind, it's still waiting. not to punish you, but to show you who you could become. When you choose to go back and finish it, you reclaim power over your life. You show yourself that you're not afraid of difficulty. That's how you grow. You don't build confidence by doing what's easy. You build it by getting uncomfortable and showing up anyway. That thing you left unfinished, it didn't go away. It just moved into your mind. It became something you now carry. And the longer you avoid it, the more it controls how you feel. But the good news is, it's still yours to finish. No one else can do it. No one else has to. You started it for a reason, and that reason still matters. You were capable when you began. You're capable now. What you need isn't more time or motivation. What you need is to stop negotiating with your excuses and start following through on your word. There's a voice in your head that tells you to wait. It says now's not the time. It says you can always try again later. But that voice is lying to you. It's trying to keep you where it's safe, where nothing changes. That's not the voice of growth. That's the voice of fear. The only way to quiet that voice is through action. When you finish what you started, you prove to yourself that you're not the same person who walked away. You're someone who returns, who rebuilds, who finishes, and that changes how you see yourself forever. Finishing isn't about perfection. It's about commitment. Even if the path looks different now, the goal still deserves your effort. Maybe you've changed. Maybe your circumstances are different. That's okay. What matters is that you're not running from discomfort anymore. You're facing it. You're standing in it. And you're choosing to finish anyway. That choice will do more for your self-belief than any success you chase. Because the people who grow in life are the ones who finish what they begin. Even when it's hard. Even when it's messy. Even when no one else is watching. Especially then. People often say they'll go back to it when life gets easier. But that moment never comes. Life doesn't get easier. You just get stronger. And the only way to get stronger is to go back to the things that challenged you. Those things weren't there to break you. They were there to build something in you. When you go back and finish, you don't just complete a task. You change your relationship with effort. You stop fearing work. You stop running from pressure. And that changes everything about how you show up in life. Start with the first piece. Don't wait for inspiration. Start even if you feel nothing. Progress doesn't need emotion. It needs action. Give yourself permission to do it badly. But just do it. When you get moving, your mind wakes up. Your energy returns. You remember why you cared in the first place. That's the gift of movement. It brings clarity. It brings strength. But none of it happens if you keep waiting for the right mood. The truth is, action creates mood. Movement creates motivation. And finishing what you started rebuilds the part of you that believed you could do it. You owe it to yourself to finish. Not because you have to, but because you deserve the freedom that comes with knowing you followed through. You deserve to feel what it's like to complete something that once felt too heavy. That's not just a goal. It's redemption. It's proof that you're not the same person who gave up. You're someone who grows, someone who pushes push, someone who keeps going when it gets hard. That feeling stays with you long after the work is done. The pride remains, and that pride gives you strength for every goal that follows. So get uncomfortable. Go back to it. Pick it up again. Dust it off and give it everything you've got. This is your moment to finish strong. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need anyone's permission. All you need is to take the first step and then another. Do it because your peace depends on it. Do it because your self-respect depends on it. Do it because there's power in showing yourself that you don't quit. When things get hard, you finish. That's who you are. That's who you've always been. Now prove it. Finish. Number 4. Be the person who shows up no matter what. There are days when everything feels off. You wake up tired. Your mind feels heavy. Nothing excites you. And on those days, most people disappear. They cancel, they postpone, they make excuses. But that's not who you want to be. You want to be the one who still shows up. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. The person who shows up when it's hard builds something others never will. Trust in themselves. That kind of consistency doesn't just change your day. It changes who you are and how far you go in life. It's easy to show up when things are going well, when you're rested, when you're motivated. But those days don't define you. The days that shape your future are the ones where everything feels heavy, and you still get out of bed and do what matters. That's not a feeling, that's a decision. When you stop depending on how you feel and start following through on what you said you'd do, you begin to respect yourself in a way no outside praise can replace. That respect becomes your foundation. You know you can count on yourself no matter what. Most people underestimate how powerful it is to keep showing up. They think progress has to be big or dramatic, but progress is quiet. It's in the decision to show up when no one is watching. It's in choosing your growth over your comfort. The results don't always come right away, but the habits you build are changing you every day. When you show up again and again, even in silence, you're planting seeds that will grow into something meaningful. That quiet effort will give you a life that loud promises never could. Showing up doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you're committed. It means you don't wait to feel ready. You don't wait for things to be easy. You act because you know what matters. You're willing to feel tired. You're willing to feel unsure, but you're not willing to sit still while your life passes by. People who succeed in anything aren't the ones with perfect routines. They're the ones who keep showing up when things fall apart. They don't stop because it's hard. They show up because it matters more than their feelings in that moment. There will be mornings when you want to disappear, when your mind says not today. And in those moments, you have a choice. You can believe the voice that wants you to shrink, or you can move anyway, even when your thoughts are noisy. Even when you feel off, action cuts through that noise. It reminds you that you're still in control. Every time you choose to show up, you're telling your doubts that they don't run your life. That decision gives you strength, and that strength builds the future you're chasing. Being the person who shows up no matter what doesn't make you a machine. It makes you disciplined. It makes you reliable. It makes you powerful in a way that doesn't depend on conditions. You know how rare that is? Most people quit when things go wrong. They delay, they disappear, they crumble under pressure. But if you build the habit of showing up, you learn how to keep going while everyone else is stuck. You become someone people can count on. More importantly, you become someone you can count on. This doesn't mean you won't struggle. It means you won't disappear when things get hard. You don't run from pressure. You move with it. You carry it, and even if it slows you down, you still keep showing up. That's where the real growth is. Not in the perfect days, in the hard ones. When everything says stop and you keep going anyway. You don't have to feel strong to be strong. You prove your strength by showing up. That action alone puts you ahead of the version of you that used to wait, quit, or disappear. No one becomes unstoppable by accident. They become that way by pushing through days when nothing felt right. They stop looking for comfort and start building consistency. You can't build a strong life on feelings alone. You need habits. You need discipline. You need the mindset that says, even when it's hard, I show up, not for attention, not for applause, but because you said you would. And keeping that promise to yourself is how you earn real confidence. The kind of confidence that no one can give you and no one can take away. If you want real change, stop waiting for the right moment. It never comes. The right moment is the one where you stop thinking and start acting, where you decide that your future matters more than your excuses. You don't need to feel like it. You just need to move. You just need to step forward. And every step you take, when it's hard, gives you more control over your mind. It's you to act without permission. That kind of mindset changes everything. It separates people who grow from people who keep talking about growth. So be that person. The one who shows up tired. The one who shows up confused. The one who shows up anyway. That kind of consistency doesn't just get results. It builds identity. You stop asking, can I do this? And you start knowing, this is who I am now. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a perfect day. You just need to show up day after day, no matter what. Because in the end, it's not the strongest or the smartest who win. It's the one who refused to stop, the one who kept showing up. Number 5, choose progress over comfort every single morning. Every morning gives you 2 choices. You can choose to stay where it feels easy, or you can choose to move towards something better. Comfort is tempting. It's soft, it's familiar, and it tells you that it's okay to stay the same. But progress demands more. It asks you to wake up and face the parts of your life that aren't good enough yet. It asks you to leave comfort behind. Not because you hate comfort, but because you care about your future more than your mood. And that's how growth begins. Through decisions, not feelings. Most people wake up and reach for ease. They press snooze. They scroll their phone. They drift into the same old day. Then they wonder why nothing changes. Progress doesn't wait for a perfect mood or a new month. It waits for action. It waits for someone who understands that the first hour of the day sets the tone for everything else. You don't rise by accident. You rise because you decided to do the hard thing first. Because you knew what was at stake. Comfort gives you nothing. Progress builds your life. Choosing progress isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what matters. It means starting your day with purpose. It means acting before your doubts get louder. Your mind will always try to keep you safe. It will tell you to slow down, to relax, to wait. But if you listen, you'll stay in the same spot year after year. Progress is not loud. It doesn't beg for your attention. It's quiet. It shows up when you choose effort over ease. When you push through discomfort without needing applause or reward. That's the difference between staying the same and leveling up. Comfort looks harmless, but too much of it will trap you. It will keep you stuck in habits that feel nice in the moment, but leave you frustrated in the long run. Progress, on the other hand, will challenge you. It will stretch you. It will make your mornings harder, but your life easier. Every time you choose progress, you're building discipline. You're creating momentum. You're telling yourself, my future matters more than this moment. That's not easy, but it's how strong people are made. It's how average becomes excellent. It's how your life finally starts to shift. There's nothing wrong with rest. You need it. But rest is earned, not used as an excuse to avoid what needs to be done. Comfort should recharge you, not control you. If you wake up every day choosing ease, your dreams start to fade. They don't leave overnight. They just get buried under distractions, delays, and reasons you convinced yourself were valid. Progress clears that up. It reminds you of what you're working for. It gets you moving again. And once you move, everything changes. You think clearer. You feel stronger. You believe more. But it starts with action. That first hour of your day is powerful. It's not just a time on the clock. It's a message to your mind. When you wake up and do the hard thing first, you're telling yourself that you are not controlled by comfort. You're building self-respect. You're taking charge before the world gets loud. That one decision sets you apart, because most people wait to feel like it. They wait for inspiration. You don't. You understand that progress begins the second you stop waiting and start doing. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Every morning is a test. Not of your ability, but of your priorities. Are you choosing the easy way out? Or are you showing up for your goal? This decision doesn't just affect your morning. It affects your focus, your attitude, and your confidence. Progress fuels you. It makes you feel capable. It builds a mental edge that no one can see, but everyone can sense. You walk differently when you know you earned your own respect. That's what progress gives you. Not a perfect day, but a stronger version of you. One that's growing every morning by choice. The people who win in life are not the ones with the best conditions. They're the ones who learn how to force action when comfort calls. They make a promise to themselves every morning. I don't need perfect. I need progress. They move forward, even when it's slow. They do the work, even when no one is watching. And because of that, they grow while others sleep. You have that same choice. No one is stopping you but the voice that wants to rest a little longer. But once you stop listening to that voice, everything starts to shift. Your mornings shape your character, and your character shapes your future. If you want to build it real, something lasting, then stop giving your best energy to habits that give you nothing back. Start giving it to your future. Use your morning to prove something to yourself. Prove that you can push when it's hard. Prove that you can act without permission. Prove that you can start your day without needing motivation. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you become someone who grows no matter what. It starts with one honest choice. Progress over comfort. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't look for ease, look for the next. Don't ask what feels good. Ask what builds your strength, then do that. Not because you're forced to, but because you've made a decision to become someone who grows on purpose. That's where change begins, not with big speeches or plans, but with a quiet decision to stop settling and start moving every single morning, without excuses, without delay, just real, daily progress. That's what transforms you. That's what builds the life you say you want. And it always starts now. Number 6, hold yourself accountable and track your daily effort. If you don't measure what you do each day, you'll never know if you're improving or just repeating the same routine. Most people don't lack ability. They lack self-checking. They go through the motions and assume they've been productive. But the truth is, unless you're writing it down, reviewing it, and asking yourself if you gave your best, you're just guessing. When you hold yourself accountable, you stop lying to yourself. You stop pretending that busy means productive. Progress needs proof, and that proof comes when you track your effort with honesty, not just memory. It's uncomfortable to face the truth about your effort, but it's necessary. When you sit down at the end of the day and look at what you actually did, not what you planned to do, not what you hoped to do, but what you did, you get a clear picture. That picture tells you who you are becoming. Without that daily review, it's easy to drift. Days blur together, and improvement becomes a distant thought. But when you track what matters, you stay grounded, you stay sharp, you stay honest. That's how real progress begins, by keeping score with yourself. Nobody else can hold you accountable the way you can. You can fake it for others. You can talk a good game. But when you're alone, that voice inside knows. It knows when you cut corners. It knows when you skip the hard parts. That voice only quiets down when your actions match your goals. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, you stop looking for outside approval. You become someone who acts with integrity, even when no one's watching. That's real self-respect. That's how discipline is built. And that's where strong results begin. Tracking your effort doesn't need to be complicated. It can be as simple as writing down 3 things: what you planned, what you did, and what you'll do better tomorrow. That habit, repeated daily, builds a mindset that's focused and aware. It removes the guessing. It forces you to be real. And being real is where change starts. You don't need more motivation. You need a mirror, a tool to reflect your choices back to you. When you start seeing patterns, both good and bad, you gain control. And control is what helps you adjust, grow, and move faster. There's power in seeing your own progress. When you track your effort every day, you realize that improvement isn't about one big moment. It's about a series of small choices made consistently. That consistency becomes momentum, and momentum builds confidence. You stop asking, can I do this? And you start proving that you are doing it. Even if the change feels slow, the fact that you're showing up and tracking it means you're not standing still. That's how progress is built in silence, with simple effort, tracked with full attention. Without accountability, your mind plays tricks on you. It tells you that you worked hard, even when you didn't. It convinces you that you deserve a break, even when you've done very little. That's the danger of going untracked. You lose your grip on what's real. But when you keep a daily record of your effort, you force your mind to face the facts. Did you take action today or not? Did you move forward or stay the same? These questions demand answers. And if you answer honestly, you'll begin to lead yourself more effectively. Most people avoid accountability because it's uncomfortable. It reveals effort gaps. It exposes laziness. It takes away the excuse of "I didn't have time." But that's the whole point. Growth requires truth. If you can't face the truth about your habits, you can't improve them. Holding yourself accountable isn't about being harsh. It's about being responsible. It's about owning your choices, your actions, and your time. That's not punishment. That's power. The moment you stop blaming anything else and start measuring yourself, you start changing yourself. There's nothing special about the people who make it to the top. They just take responsibility sooner. They don't wait to be called out. They call themselves out. They don't leave their progress to chance. They record it. They adjust it. They challenge themselves every single day. That's the mindset that builds success. It's not loud. It's not always exciting, but it works. It works because it removes the gap between intention and action. It forces you to stop saying, "I'll try," and start living "I did." That's how the gap between where you are and where you want to be closes. Start small. Write your effort down tonight. Don't judge it, just record it. Ask yourself if you showed up fully. If you didn't, don't lie. Use it as fuel. Change it tomorrow. That process, repeated again and again, will shift your behavior. You'll think before wasting time. You'll remember that this day counts. And when every day counts, your progress adds up fast. You don't need a perfect system. You need honesty. You need follow-through. You need to build the habit of tracking. Not because someone told you to, but because you want to be better than yesterday. This is what it takes to move your life forward. Not just effort, but measured effort. Not just goals, but tracked goals. You can't fix what you don't. You can't improve what you don't measure. And you can't grow if you refuse to be honest. So start now. Hold yourself accountable. Track your daily effort. Don't do it to be perfect. Do it to be real. Do it to take control. Because the truth is simple. You can't change your life if you keep pretending you're doing enough. Face the numbers. Face the choices. Then take full control. That's how you grow. Number 7. Force yourself to move when you feel stuck. Feeling stuck is one of the hardest places to be. Your mind becomes heavy. Your body feels slow, and nothing seems worth doing. You sit there thinking, hoping something will push you forward. But that feeling doesn't go away on its own. It grows stronger the longer you wait. The only way out is movement. Not big, not perfect, just movement. One small action is enough to break the cycle. You don't need to fix everything right now. You just need to stop sitting still. Movement is the way out of feeling stuck. Always has been. When your thoughts are all over the place and your energy is low, your brain tells you to wait until you feel better. That's the trap. If you listen to that voice, hours pass, sometimes days, and nothing improves. You don't feel better by thinking more. You feel better by doing something, even the smallest step, getting up, walking, writing a sentence, organizing a drawer, starts to reset your state of mind. Second, your body moves. Your emotions begin to shift. Movement is not the result of motivation. Movement is the cause of it. There will be days when you don't know what to do. You feel overwhelmed or numb. That's not a sign to stop. That's a signal to act. Your brain is trying to pull you back into comfort, but comfort is not what you need in that moment. You need direction. You need clarity. And you don't find that by sitting still. You find it by engaging with life, by moving towards something. Anything that brings structure, even if it's small, even if it's clumsy, it gives you back control. And control leads to strength. People wait for inspiration. They wait for a breakthrough. But when you're stuck, nothing changes until you change something. That's the hard truth. If you want to break free from that heavy state, you have to do the opposite of what your mind is telling you. Your thoughts say rest, but you move. Your feelings say wait, but that's what strength looks like. Not perfection, just movement. The mind clears up once you engage with life again, but you have to start first. You have to take back control by taking the first step. Don't think your way out of being stuck. Act your way out. Sit down and write your thought. Clean your space. Go for a walk. Call someone and speak the truth. Action doesn't need to be deep. It needs to be real. Waiting won't make the feelings go away, but moving changes your energy. It gives you something new to focus on. And once you move, you prove to yourself that you're not powerless. That's when you start to feel alive again. You just needed to remember that stillness is a choice, and so is progress. Nobody escapes those low moments. Everyone feels stuck sometimes. The difference is how you respond. Some people sit in it for weeks. Others feel it for a minute and start moving again. It's not because they're stronger. It's because they've trained themselves not to wait. They've learned that progress starts by doing, not by waiting for a better mood. That's a skill you can build. You can become someone who doesn't trust those lazy thoughts, someone who moves anyway. That shift in identity starts with one honest step, taken while it still feels hard. Being stuck is a mental weight, and the longer you carry it, the heavier it becomes. That's why movement matters. It doesn't erase the problem, but it gives your mind a new direction. It reminds you that you are still in charge. Every time you move when you feel low, you send a message to yourself. I'm not giving up. I'm not going to let this feeling decide my day. That's not easy, but over time, it builds a different kind of confidence. One that doesn't depend on how you feel. One that's earned through effort. You don't need a perfect plan to break out of a stuck place. You just need to stop doing nothing. Pick something small, something you can control. Start there. Action leads to clarity. Clarity leads to energy, and energy brings your momentum back. The best thing you can do for yourself when you feel trapped is to move your body and engage your mind. Read something, write something, build something, clean something. It doesn't matter where you begin. It just matters that you begin. Because the longer you wait, the more power you give away. Some of your best progress will come on the worst days. Not because you felt amazing, but because you moved when it was hard. That's what builds resilience. That's what teaches you that emotions don't have the final say. You do. The moment you act, while your mind says stay still, you build mental toughness. You become someone who doesn't wait to be rescued. Someone who doesn't wait to feel ready. Someone who creates their own breakthrough. And that kind of person doesn't stay stuck for long, because they've learned how to move first and fix later. So if you feel stuck today, don't panic. Don't overthink. Just stand up, stretch, move. Pick one thing and do it fully. Don't wait to feel good about it. Just act. And watch what happens to your energy. Watch what happens to your mind. You'll remember that you still have the power to lead yourself, that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to move. And once you do, the momentum begins again. Not through magic, not through luck, through action. That's how real change always starts. One step taken when everything inside said don't. Number 8, force yourself to be consistent when motivation dies. Motivation feels great when it's there. It gives you energy. It gives you ideas. It pushes you forward. But it never stays. One day, you wake up and it's gone. That's the real test. Because what you do when motivation disappears shows who you really are. If you only move when you feel inspired, your results will always be random. But if you can force yourself to stay consistent even when you're tired, even when you're bored, even when you don't feel like it, that's when you grow. That's when you separate yourself from everyone else. You don't need to feel like it to get it done. That's the lesson you learn when motivation fades. Your feelings can't lead your life. If they do, you'll never build anything real. You have to learn to do it anyway. You wake up and whether it's raining or sunny, whether you slept well or not, you show up. Because you made a commitment. And that commitment matters more than your temporary mood. That's how trust is built. You become someone who doesn't break their own word. That's strength most people never train for. Consistency doesn't come from being excited every day. It comes from reminding yourself what matters, especially on the hard days. Those are the days where growth lives. When it's easy, everyone can do it. But when it's hard, most people stop. If you want to build something long-lasting, you can't keep starting over. You have to stick with it, even when you don't see fast results. Even when no one claps for you. Even when the only thing pushing you forward is your own discipline. That's how real results are earned. Slow, steady, and honest. Your mind will give you every reason to stop. It's too late. It's too hard. You've already done enough, but you can't trust that voice. That voice wants comfort, not growth. It wants relief, not reward. That's why you need structure. You need to do it at the same time every day, no matter how you feel. That's what keeps you grounded when motivation disappears. A system built on discipline, not emotions. A system that says, I do this because it matters, not because I feel like it. That's how you stay on track. There's power in keeping your promises to yourself. Even if no one else sees it, you feel it. You feel it when you finish a workout you didn't want to do. You feel it when you write even though you had no ideas. You feel it when you keep going without any external reward. That's self-respect. That's how belief is built. Every act of consistency strengthens your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who gives up. You start seeing yourself someone who gets it done. That shift in how you see yourself changes everything. The people who succeed in life are not the ones who had the most motivation. They're the ones who did it without it. They made their effort non-negotiable. It became part of who they are. It was never about doing it perfectly. It was about doing it anyway, showing up without needing to be in the mood. That's the edge you need to develop. Because when you stop depending on feeling ready, you become unstoppable. You don't wait, you move. You take action when most people hit pause. That's how you make progress when others stay stuck. You have to remind yourself daily that success isn't built on motivation. It's built on behavior. What you do when no one's watching. What you stick to when it's no longer exciting. That you finish even when it gets boring. Motivation fades fast. Discipline stays. That's what makes the difference between dreams and results. You don't have to love the process every day. You just have to respect it. You have to understand that every small effort adds up, even when it doesn't feel like it's seized right away. That's how real change happens. Quiet and slow, but steady. There will be days when you're tempted to skip. You'll say, it's just one day, but that's how it starts. One missed step becomes a week becomes a month, and before you know it, you're back square one. That's why consistency matters more than perfection. You don't need to be flawless. You just need to keep showing up. Even when you feel off, even when the results are small, you keep the streak alive. Because every time you stay consistent without motivation, you're training your future self to never rely on emotions, to do what matters. Discipline is not about being hard on yourself. It's about being honest. Honest enough to admit when you're avoiding. Honest enough to say, I need to keep going. You don't need to be in the perfect mindset. You don't need to wait until you're in the zone. You just need to do the work. That's what creates progress. Not intensity, but consistency. Not emotion, but action. Every time you act without motivation, you get one step closer to the life you want. You just need to keep stepping. One day, then another, then another. That's the formula. Nothing fancy, just consistent effort. So when motivation dies, don't panic. Don't take a break. Don't step back. Lean in. That's your chance to become stronger. That's your chance to build something that can last. Anyone can act when it feels good. Few can act when it doesn't. If you can be one of those few, you'll go further than most ever will. Because you weren't chasing a feeling. You were building a standard. One that says, I move even when it's hard. One that says, I finish what I start. That kind of mindset doesn't just lead to results. It leads to freedom. Real freedom. Number 9. Force yourself to build discipline through real action. Discipline doesn't come from reading about it or talking about it. It comes from doing hard things repeatedly. It grows when you make a decision and follow through, no matter how you feel. You don't wake up one day with perfect habits. You earn them by choosing to act when everything in you wants to rest. Discipline is built in silence when no one is watching, when there's no reward, and when you're the only one keeping score. The more you do what's necessary instead of what's easy, the more your discipline becomes your identity. You can't wait to feel disciplined. You have to act your way into it. Real action means doing the work, even when it's uncomfortable, even when your mood is off, even when it would be easier to quit. That's the difference between people who wish for change and those who make it happen. One group waits for motivation. The other group builds it through action. The more you act, the more your mind begins to follow. Discipline doesn't start in your head. It starts with your behavior. The feeling comes after the movement, always after. The reason most people don't have discipline is simple. They avoid discomfort. They want results without resistance. But growth doesn't happen inside comfort. It happens when you choose the harder path and stick with it. Every time you force yourself to act, even when it's inconvenient, you're training your brain to handle pressure. You're proving to yourself that you don't need ideal conditions. You don't need a perfect day. You just need to move. That's how discipline is created. Not in theory, but in your response to resistance. Discipline is about the little decisions you make daily. It's what you eat. It's when you sleep. It's how you speak to yourself. It's how you handle setbacks. These small decisions build pattern. If you act with discipline, those patterns lead to strength. If you choose comfort, those patterns lead to regret. You are what you repeat. And if you want to change your life, you have to change what you do on the hard days. Those are the days that count the most. Not because they're fun, but because they're real. That's where discipline is formed. You don't need to feel strong to act with strength. Most days, you won't feel like pushing. That's normal. What matters is that you push anyway. The people who build lasting success aren't the ones who feel driven every day. They're the ones who act without waiting to feel ready. That's what makes discipline powerful. It's a choice, not a feeling. A decision, not a mood. When you understand that, you stop chasing the perfect moment. You act and you grow because of it. That's how you gain control of your habits and your future. Excuses are loud when you haven't trained your discipline. Your mind will look for a way out. It'll tell you to do it later. But every time you listen, you lose strength. Every time you act, you gain it. The more you move forward despite your doubts, the more confident you become. Not because the work gets easier, but because you get stronger. Discipline gives you proof. Proof that you can be trusted. Proof that you can finish. And the more proof you create, the less power your excuses hold. That's how you break the cycle and move forward. People think discipline means being hard on yourself, but it's the opposite. Discipline is a form of self-respect. You show yourself that your future matters. You prove that your goals deserve effort. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed. When you act with discipline, you raise your standards. You stop settling for what's easy. You start living with more control. And that control spills into everything. Your work, your habits, your mindset. The stronger your discipline, the clearer your life becomes. You stop wondering what to do. You already know. You just do it. It's not enough to want change. You have to work for it. You have to sweat for it. You have to give up comfort when comfort tries to take over your schedule. That's what separates progress from promises. People say they want better lives, but most won't do what it takes. Discipline isn't exciting. It's repetitive. It's quiet. But that repetition builds power. Power to stick with your plans. Power to resist distractions. Power to stay focused when others are drifting. That's what action gives you. Real control. Not hope. Not talk. Control. You won't always get the results right away. But discipline teaches you patience. It reminds you that real progress takes time. And the only thing you need to do today is show up. Not perfectly. Not with energy. Just fully committed to the process, fully aware of the goal, fully willing to act, even when it's uncomfortable. That kind of consistency pays off. It doesn't happen in a week, but it always happens. And when it does, you'll know it was because you built your discipline through action. You didn't wait, you didn't avoid, you moved. So don't ask for motivation. Don't wait to feel ready. Decide that your goals matter enough to act now. Discipline is a habit built on effort. The more you do, the more it becomes who you are. And once it becomes part of you, no excuse can stop you. You stop quitting. You stop hesitating. You become the kind of person who does what needs to be done. That's what real growth looks like. Not big steps, not sudden changes, just daily discipline. Built by doing the work. Built by showing up. Built by choosing action every time. Number 10, stop looking for easy and choose what builds strength. The easy path always shows up first. It's the one that offers quick comfort and asks for little effort. But what it gives you in comfort, it takes from you in progress. Every time you take the easier route, you miss a chance to get stronger. Strength is built in struggle. It's built in showing up when it's uncomfortable. If everything you do feels easy, then nothing in you is growing. Growth only happens when you challenge yourself. And challenges don't show up with a welcome sign. They show up as work, pain, pressure, and discipline. Your brain naturally wants to avoid discomfort. That's how it protects you. But comfort becomes a trap when you chase it too often. You stop stretching. You stop learning. You stop leading yourself. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you trade your future for temporary relief. That trade feels good for a moment, but it robs you long term. The only way to get out of that cycle is to be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, is this choice helping me grow? If the answer is no, stop choosing it. Growth takes intention, and that starts with facing what's hard. Most people don't realize how much strength they're leaving on the table because they avoid what's uncomfortable. They convince themselves that it's not the right time or that they'll do it later. But strength isn't waiting on you. It's being built by someone else who said yes to pressure, to work, to hard routines. Strength doesn't show up because you want it. It shows up because you chose to earn it. You earn it when you stop chasing shortcuts and decide to do what challenges you. That's where self-respect comes from. You can't fake that. You have to fight for it. Doing hard things doesn't mean being extreme. It means doing what needs to be done, even when you'd rather do something else. It's the choice to train when you're tired, to read when you'd rather scroll, to say no when you usually say yes. These small choices stack up. They change how you think. They change how you move. They change how you speak to yourself. Easy choices take you nowhere, but every hard decision you make adds something to your character. It teaches you that you can be uncomfortable and still act, and that's power you carry forever. You won't build strength in a perfect mood. You'll build it in resistance. When things feel heavy and you keep going. When doubt is loud and you still show up, that's where the shift happens. Not when it's easy, but when it's uncomfortable and you move anyway. Strength isn't in your plans. It's in your response to challenge. Anyone can follow a schedule when things are smooth. But can you stay focused when everything around you tells you to quit? That's the difference. That's what shapes you. Not your feelings, your follow-through. Even when it's uncomfortable, you need to stop asking, what's the easiest way? And start asking, what's the way that will make me better? That one change in your thinking flips your whole routine. You stop avoiding work. You stop hiding from pressure. You stop needing comfort to take action. You choose what builds mental muscle. You begin to seek difficulty because you understand it gives you something valuable, not immediately, but deeply. Strength doesn't speak loud in the beginning, but you'll feel it in your habits, in your choices, in the way you carry yourself. When the world gets noisy, the life you want requires strength, emotional strength, mental strength, physical strength, and none of that is built in a soft life. It's built through repetition, through facing the hard stuff, instead of walking away. You grow by doing what others won't, not because you're better, but because you chose not to settle for easy. Settling feels safe, but it slowly removes your fire. You stop pushing, you start making excuses, and over time you become a smaller version of yourself. But when you fight for strength, you expand, you stretch into someone more powerful, and you stay that way. Easy choices lead to a hard life, but hard choices lead to freedom. That's the truth most avoid. If you want freedom in your mind, in your habits, in your future, you have choose what tests you. That's how discipline is formed. That's how confidence grows. Confidence doesn't come from avoiding mistakes. It comes from doing the hard thing and knowing you survived it. You didn't hide. You didn't quit. You faced it and earned your strength. That's the kind of person who can handle anything. Not because they were born that way, but because they trained for it daily. The next time you face a choice, pay attention to what your mind offers first. It will always offer the easy path. That's the default. But you're not here to stay the same. You're here to grow, to rise, to lead yourself. So pause and take the path that builds something in you. It might be slower, it might be harder, but it will take you further, because the easy road runs in circles, but the hard road leads somewhere real, somewhere earned. And once you start walking it, you'll never want to turn back. You'll feel the strength it brings. So stop looking for easy. Start chasing what makes you better. Choose the habit that feels hard now, but pays off later. Choose the routine that demands more from you, but makes you stronger over time. Don't live your life trying to stay comfortable. Live it trying to become stronger. Because in the end, the person who chose growth over ease, effort over comfort, truth over excuses, that's the person who built a life worth living. Not by waiting, not by hoping, but by acting. Every single day, especially when it was hard, especially when it mattered most. Now you know the truth. Nothing in your life will change until you take full control and act on it. You can wait, you can think, you can plan, But none of that matters if you don't move. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is simple. Action. Force yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. Push yourself, even when no one is watching. Every small step you take today builds the stronger version of you tomorrow. Don't wait for motivation. Build it through action. Your time is now. Get up, take the first step, and don't stop.